cancel navigation.
Alright, done.
Well, look at the view. Visibility is good. Oh well, let's keep going. Might see something. I was hoping the tigers would be out. They don't normally care about water, but it's also just cold and miserable. So I think I'm the only person here. When the weather forecast says, just cloudy till about 1 o'clock. It's 9:30 in the morning. I think, okay, got a little bit of leeway. Yeah, I might get a few decent shots. Can't even see 100 metres. Never mind. So apparently today wasn't the best time to come to the zoo, but at least it's got dinosaurs, because dinosaurs are cool. I think that's a massive chicken. Oh, autofocus is working on the big chicken. Well, it was a second ago. There we go. Sort of. Let's go to the other side of it, but anyway. Cute baby dinosaur. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Anyway, I've had the stabilisation turned off for ages. I don't know why I turned it off. Must have done for some reason. But it'd be interesting to see the photos before this and now to see what the difference is between sharpness. I am shooting wide open anyway, but with a relatively high shutter speed. So, but you know, interesting. By the way, that's a dinosaur. I know, looks pretty scary. Just seen a large buzzard, but I managed to get a couple of snaps, but I was about 100 and something meters away, so kind of couldn't really get it, fortunately. But sat on a branch the other side of this dinosaur, a tree in the distance, just saw it land. So never mind, might reappear. Out with the Rx10 Mark IV now. More rain. That's what we call crappy weather. Looks like an ostrich. So meerkats don't care about rain apparently. Hello. He's still digging away. Scratch. Itchy. I don't think the wallabies are enjoying the weather so much. So apparently these two don't really care about the rain. Unless they're just hungry. Maybe it's just dinner, breakfast time or lunchtime. So. He's fixated, that one. So guys, you could actually hear the zoom motors working on the RX10 Mark IV there when I zoomed in and out on the Lynx cat there. Not really noticed it before, but I guess because of where I was and just a little bit of echoing and stuff makes it a little bit more obvious than normal, I guess. But obviously it's not silent, so you can expect that in some situations. It was very misty, as you can see here. The tiger was wandering around, just checking his territory out and everything, but I could hardly see him. But the camera was still focusing on him, which I was quite impressed with. Still managed to get some pretty cool photos actually, and I don't know, it kind of added a bit of feel to these because it wasn't a bright sunny day or anything like that, and it was still a bit of a challenge, to be fair, to get stuff in focus and shooting at ISO sort of 800 to 1000 in some of these shots. That's why some of them I've converted to black and white, just because they work better. Not because of the noise levels or anything like that. There was a little bit of grain, yeah, but a lot of that was rain. You know, or as you can see here, the bit of bokeh coming through, which is actually water droplets on the fence that I was shooting through. So you can't really get away from that, unfortunately. But the tigers were pretty active in the rain, didn't really care. But yeah, I mean, it rained pretty much all the time I was there. Not heavily, but enough to make it not very particularly pleasant. It wasn't overly cold, luckily, but the animals, most of the animals didn't really care. It was just trying to find them, because some of them were either hiding or wandering around, obviously just ignoring the rain. But the tigers were pretty cool to actually capture, and actually works quite well with the darker background, and they come out, even though the vibrance of their colour of their fur and everything wasn't jumping out as much, but it still worked quite nicely, I thought. And relatively sharp images, even though we shoot through misty, sort of rainy, horrible weather. So it still shows you the versatility of the RX10 Mark IV. So as you can see up on the top left hand corner, I've actually labelled the images which are from the RX10 Mark IV, because I'm also using the A7R Mark IV with the 135 G Master on, which, having those two cameras with me, one, kept the bag quite light because I didn't have to carry another big lens with me, but obviously the amount of light I could get into the camera, and having a little bit of crop ability with the high resolution A7R Mark IV, it allowed me to capture some quite interesting shots, which you'll see shortly. That actually worked really well. The eye autofocus jumped straight onto the tiger there. Obviously not on that one because of the back of his head, but I just like the way he was sat and the way the sort of pattern and everything run down his back and into his neck. Soaking wet spider's web. But yeah, I mean, considering the weather was rubbish and I was pretty much the only person there, it was quite nice to actually wander around on my own. Lynx cats, I've never seen the lynx that close. They were just sitting in the rain. I didn't seem to care. They were actually wet. You can actually see the water moisture or the rain moisture and everything all over their fur there, just sitting on the top. Yeah, that shot worked quite nicely. But you can see how sharp the images are coming straight out of the RX10 Mark IV, even in rubbish light. And that really does give us the benefit of the f4 lens. This is where it struggled. Okay, so this is the only time I've actually, in the couple of years of owning the RX10 Mark IV, it's really struggled. And as you can see there, the focusing was really struggling. One, I think it was to do with the camouflage of the cat. Two, I think the lighting was awful where I was. As you can see, it's quite dark shooting in there, and it just sort of blended in with the background so much that, you know, it didn't really like it. As you can see here, a bit better where it was a little bit of light casting through, but still not perfect. And shooting at high ISO, sort of ISO 1000, to get those sort of shots. Here's a few more, a couple of shots here, and you know, so detail wise, as usual, it's also, you know, really sharp, no problems at all, but it's just really struggled in those low light conditions where, you know, I'm shooting at 600mm at f4 in really rubbish shaded areas with the rain, obviously no sunshine whatsoever. But these shots here were still coming out really, really well. The dinosaurs, I autofocus working on most of them, to be fair. A few it didn't, or it jumped off slightly to the left or the right, but it was still hitting. It's still giving me sharp focus. which was worked quite well. That's at a wider angle shot, and then bringing it in a little bit closer, as you can see the teeth and everything there, worked quite nicely. But just generally a joy to use, even though it got soaking wet, moisture. I did unscrew my UV filter at one point because basically my lens cloth got soaking wet and I couldn't keep it dry, so basically I ended up unscrewing it, and that's one reason I actually used the UV filters on the Rx10iv is because once at some point if I do get it soaking wet I can just unscrew it and carry on. I haven't got to try and keep it dry, especially once my cloth has got that wet that you struggle to keep the lens filter dry from smears and water and everything. Onto the A7R Mark IV now. Both these cameras I absolutely adore. So good to use. The resolution on this thing is ridiculous, the detail is ridiculous, and utilising a fast lens on there, especially like the 135 G Master, allows you to get shots with lovely, beautiful sort of soft backgrounds, with detail that you want in the foreground. Even this water droplet there, I was waiting for it to drop. I just wanted to get a water droplet in the thing, but it wasn't. It just sat there for about 3-4 minutes. I was like, come on, drop. But no, it didn't. As you can see, like blurred backgrounds, you know, that 135 G Master lens is lovely. It just really helps you bring out your subject. Even in this situation here, I autofocus working on this Dinosaur as well, which is quite amazing really when you think, you know, they've put the algorithms in there obviously to recognise an eye. I understand that, but the fact that it's working on some of the real animals from side on, you know, with no trouble at all. It didn't work on that one, obviously. That's some kind of weird dino dog or something. It looked really quite gruesome. It was like you'd probably chew your leg off. Prehistoric chicken, possibly, something like that. But it's pretty cool. But like I say, this is, you know, zooming in like that, you've got so much croppability with this camera. The 60 megapixels, it really allows you to utilise a fast lens and actually crop in still sort of 26 megapixels to a degree, you know, with ease. And the autofocus system and everything works brilliantly. You know, and these shots here, straight out of the camera, apart from a couple of tweaks, obviously with a couple of levels here or there, but no sharpening or anything like that added. But it works really well, and surprisingly the dinosaurs actually photographed quite realistically. You know, when you in this sort of area of the woods and stuff, they actually looked quite nice because the light was quite soft. Obviously because it was no sunlight, it was just being diffused by the heavy clouds and everything we had there, but it still allowed me to get some really good shots with the dinosaurs. And it was kind of interesting to see them in, I suppose, the habitat they might have been living in back all those times, or 65 million years or something. But just with this lens, the 135, and even at 600mm with the Rx10, you just really could separate your background and kind of give you the feel that you might have been there. You know, this thing here that's massively high up in the trees there, but you can still obviously crop in and out. And then the meerkats, they were still out and about. I was surprised actually. I thought they'd be hiding away in their you know, indoors somewhere nice and warm. And this is with the 135 G Master and the Sony A7R4, and that's already at crop sensor, so sorry, crop mode. And then I've obviously zoomed in even more, just shows you the detail. And this is where I could get the shots of the fishing cat, which I've never seen before, quite easily with the much faster lens. I could still get some shots in where obviously the Rx10iv was struggling a little bit. I did get a few shots, but they weren't perfect. So moving straight onto the A7R4, and it just allowed me to get some better shots. But you can just about see the fence there because he was quite close. But managed to get some cool shots of him, which I'd say I've been going to this zoo, Port Lim, for quite a few years, probably 20 I suppose, and never seen a fishing cat. So you know, it's actually nice to see it out. Apparently they like the rain, so that was quite cool. The rhinos, so they were in the field wandering around. I had a bit of an itch like you saw earlier in the video, so but worked really nicely in black and white. As the textures and obviously that mist in the background, it kind of made it lose the background a little bit, and you know, it sort of brought it out. This one here, you can see the random bokeh with kind of lines. It was actually wires running across, which kind of hindered the the photos being any better than that. And as I walk past, there's a cafe, but they've got bird feeders and everything, which are really cool. And they've got nothing in the background. So utilising the A7R4, because it was so dull. I mean, I'm shooting at ISO 2500 up to 3200 in these shots, to get a 1/2000th of a second shutter speed, and I'm freezing the birds in this, and it'd be nice to do this on a nice decent day when I've actually got some decent light. But it allowed me to do it where obviously normally I might have used the Rx10 Mark IV because I could get closer, but the light wasn't there, and I thought, well, let's use this the full frame camera just to help the situation, and it obviously still shines. Autofocusing was mad. I mean, it was absolutely tracking the birds, no problem at all, and shooting wide open at f1.8. And in fact, I did stop it down a couple of times to f2.8, which then that's when I increased the ISO to 3200 to get the shutter speeds back up. But worked really well, and to be honest, the lack of light, they still look pretty good. I mean, to say it was just really dull, murky, wet, damp, horrible day. But and then the wallabies, I've never seen them before. I don't know how the hell I've missed them, but on the way round there's the wallabies, and you can go in there with them and wander around, which is quite cool. That's it, guys. Hopefully it didn't drag on too long, but I just thought I'd show you what both cameras could do, even in rubbish light. So hope that helped anybody out there. And obviously it did struggle a couple of times with the Rx10 Mark IV, but 99% of the time it doesn't, so can't really moan there. Anyway, guys, please subscribe, please click notification bell, and I shall see you soon.